What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking at a new card from Invasion of Venom, and it looks like, guys, we are getting that Aromaseraphy Synchro, the one that we were hoping and praying for when it was revealed that Aromages were getting a tuner. I know that I was predicting that Aromages would be getting a synchro in this set, but it really wasn't something that was set in stone. As people told me in my last video in the comments, there are actually a lot of archetypes that do have tuners that actually don't have synchros, because I was just like, oh, okay, well, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, and where there's a tuner, there's obviously going to be a synchro, because that's what makes sense. I was like, all right, so it's pretty much a guarantee, but it's actually not. You know, decks like Infernoids and Shadows, they both have tuners, but they don't have synchros. I don't know why those archetypes have like tuners, because they're both fusion based, and it isn't even really a dual terminal thing, because like Gem Knights are dual terminal and they don't have synchros or tuners. So like I don't really know what the deal is, but let's focus on Aromages. This is Aromaseraphy Rosemary, and the artwork is absolutely lovely on this card. It looks really good, and you'll probably recognize the name in the card arts, because this is, I think, like, I don't know if this is a grown-up version of the other Rosemary, the one from the original, like, you know, Clash of Rebellion card. But, I mean, she's got these magical wings. She definitely didn't have that in the original card art. I mean, I don't know if this is like a Minerva thing, or if she just got, like, some special powers, or maybe she's just doing cosplay. I mean, who knows? But anyways, so let's look at the card. She is level 5. She's a plant tuner. She is generic. 2000 attack. The defense is unknown. I have no idea, but the picture was taken with somebody's freaking finger over it. So there's a couple of things that are still a little unknown. The defense is one of them. I mean, people, if you're going to break in the trucks and break into warehouses and, you know, get these cards by, you know, hook or by crook, I guess, you know, take your fingers off of the card. Just remove all of your body, anything that is relating to you out of the image. Seriously, nobody wants to see that. But anyways, the defense is unknown. I would just have to guess that it's probably about 1700. I'm hoping that it'll be like around 2200, but I don't know if we're going to get that out of a level 5 synchro. Requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. It's generic, okay? Effect number 1. If you have more life points than your opponent, plant monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. Ideally, that should be extremely easy to trigger, because Aroma Garden gives you a quick 500 life points. Human Wind lets you gain life points. There's so many ways to gain life points in Aromages. The problem has always been you don't really have that many power plays out of the extra deck. I'd even argue you have basically none, to be honest. I mean, going into like Formula Synchron with, like, you know, Dandelion token's kind of cool, but that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? This card should actually, on occasion, be able to get to like 3000 attack, which is damn impressive for a level 5 synchro. If you have if you have Garden out and you activate this effect and you have Garden too, that's 1000 attack gain, and it's you know, it'll be for every plant monster that you have on the field. So that's actually legit. Like, that adds up when you have, you know, 2 or 3 monsters. Then you start talking about, you know, being able to do 2-3 extra thousand damage that you wouldn't have been able to do normally. So I think effect number 1 is very legitimate, and that's why I'm hoping that its defense is like 2200 or like 2300, because now you're talking about having a huge wall for a level 5 synchro. Effect number 2. Once per turn, if you gain life points, target 1 face-up card your opponent controls until question mark. I'm going to assume that's until the end phase, because that makes the most sense. That effect is negated. Okay, so at first I thought it was just like a Phoenix chain. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. It's a nice little Phoenix chain built in. But what I didn't realize is it's actually face-up card, not face-up monster. So to be honest, this effect is almost taken directly from Hot Red Dragon Archery and Abyss. The effect is basically the same exact thing. The only difference is, and it is kind of a big difference, Rosemary cannot be chained directly to effects, and the reason that it can't, even if you happen to gain life points, because I believe this is a quick effect. That's what people have been saying on like Pojo and whatnot. They're like, yo, it's a quick effect, it's been updated. But I mean, YG Organization hasn't updated it. Maybe they'll update it later, but I'm gonna treat this as a quick effect. It looks like it's a trigger effect, but the reason why you can't, like, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say your opponent activates emergency teleport, right? and you happen to gain life points, let's say you chain like an Angelica from your hand, you won't be able to still negate that emergency teleport, even though Angelica is chain link 2 and it will give you life points. Let's say that there's a Jasmine in your graveyard, you want to gain 100 life points. The reason why is because you don't actually gain that life points until the chain is actually resolved. So if chain link 1 is teleport and chain link 2 is Angelica, like, you don't actually gain life points until Angelica actually resolves as chain link 2. But by that time, like, Rosemary can't jump in and be like, hey, I want to be part of the chain too. Like, you know what I mean? You don't gain life points until the chain is already resolved. So it's not like it's not exactly like Hot Dragon Archfiend. You know what I mean? Now, however, you can still with this card negate things that are, you know, not actually active. Like, you can still negate pendulum scales, you can negate field spells, you can negate, you know, continuous speller traps on the field, which makes it a pretty decent answer to floodgate cards. Like, if your opponent has a rivalry of warlords and it's just like locking you down, even though your deck is probably going to be a lot of plants anyways, that could be a card that you could take out. Things like Kaiser Coliseum. I know that people might say, oh, well, target, so it's not good against like Cosmo or Magispectors, and you're probably right. If you're looking at targeting the monsters in like Cosmo, you probably wouldn't want to, because you can't target the spaceships, and if you target the pilots, they can just chain those and they can, you know, turn those into spaceships or Magispectors, pretty much the whole archetype. But you can target like the field spells. I mean, your opponent can't chain Cosmo Town in anything. You can just do this during the standby phase. You can just pitch like an Angelica from your hand before they even get a chance to activate Cosmo Town. Do it in the draw phase, do it in the standby phase. Same thing about you know, Magispectors. They play field spells. They got, what's it called? They have Majesty's Pegasus. You can just turn that off so they can't even use it. So the card has some applications. I hope that they make more ways to gain life points during your opponent's turn, because right now we only have 2 of them that you're gonna play. You're not gonna play like Draining Shield or any of that garbage. For the most part, you're only going to play Angelica and you're going to play Humid Winds. So there aren't that many ways of gaining life points during your opponent's turn. During your turn, you've got like Garden, and that's pretty cool. But even if you just, like, even if you're not even looking at just spell and traps to negate, being able to negate a monster during your turn is actually pretty, like, it's not bad. If you think about like Synchros and Xyz, still not actually that bad. So I think this card is, I think it's pretty decent. I don't think that it changes Aromages a ton unless they get more ways to activate, like, to gain life points during their turn. I would hope that maybe they're going to get another Synchro, and I really do hope that they get another card that lets them gain life points during their opponent's turn. And I really wish that the effect was not once per turn. If it wasn't once per turn, what would be kind of sick is you could trigger the effect off of Humid Winds, and then you could search an Angelica off of Humid Winds, and you'd be able to trigger the effect twice during that turn by just discarding the Angelica. I think that's why they didn't do that, why they made it once per turn, because they didn't want people doing that exact combo that I just pretty much thought up in like 2 seconds. So that's the whole reason that I think it's once per turn. But overall, the cards is pretty decent, and the artwork is absolutely amazing. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.